Hi, I'm Peter Boyles, and welcome to episode 4 of The Shoot. And these have been incredibly successful, and I really want to thank everybody for watching. Mark Crowley, who is sitting over here watching all of this happen, does counts on the show. And of course, really special thanks to Dr. Julie McCallan, who saved my life and can save your life at Cenegenics. She's underwritten the effort. So, as you know, the first episode was with Tom Tancredo. And as I said, we walked out in the hall when it was over. Let's shut this whole thing down right now because we're never going to get better. And then we had Rich, before we get to Rich, we had Dick Wadhams on the show, and that made everybody mad. And then Sean Duffy really made everybody mad. That was the third episode. I can't think of anybody better. The fourth episode of The Shoot, the legend, Rich Wyatt, brother man. I mean, now, before all this begins, I got to tell you, because doing the radio show, I get hate mail and everything anyhow.
Sure.
But why are you having him on? And I mean, that was not just one.
Hundreds.
Well,
thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. And the anger part of why would you have Rich Wyatt on? And I said, for exactly that reason. And we talked about our relationship, how far back it goes, and what happened to you. And then we spoke a few times when you were away, as they say, growing up.
I went to college.
College, absolutely. Where is he? He was in college. And then you came home from, that was going with a saying. So let us begin again. Just for the record, how much time did you do?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
To the day or?
No, not to the day. I actually couldn't tell you to the day, Pete. I got 6.5 year sentence. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize in the feds, you do the time.
That's what I thought.
In the state, I would have done 35%. Actually, if that would have been a state charge, I would have never went to jail. But in the feds, they gave me 6.5 years. The reason I was released early was because I won my appeal. Yeah. And my lawyer, through reading the record that did my appeal, proved that the judge and the prosecutor, Sunita Hazra, lied to the jury in order to secure the conviction. So they had to overturn it.
But you did the time.
But I got out a little early, but I did the time.
I remember when you came home and you called me, you were home, and we met. And we've always spoken straight up with each other. And I said, what was that like? And you didn't stop for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You went, where's the first place that sent you?
Denver City Jail for 1 year.
Wow.
And that was terrible. See, a city jail is different than a prison.
Sure.
Okay, a city jail is a transient population, people coming and going every single day. And I'm in a room with 72 guys. Well, I didn't start out in that room. Yeah. Actually, because of the TV show and personality.
People knew who you were.
Yeah, they put me in solitary confinement. And so when I first went in, I was locked up all by myself, and I just sat in a room.
How long did you sit in a room? See, this is the part I didn't know.
Almost 2 months.
By yourself?
All by myself. No human contact.
What was that like?
Horrible.
Had to be.
Yeah. Because it's at the time when your world has collapsed and changed, and there were so many shocks. Like, let me go back one step. Sure. The day that I got convicted, they told me that I would have about 8 months.
Do you remember where we saw each other and at David's, and you said, hey, I might get it, but they're going to give me a float?
Yeah.
Never gave you a float.
They lied. I know this is shocking, but the federal government are lying scumbags. I mean, it's pathetic.
They cuffed you up in the courtroom.
The prosecutor, Sunita Hazra, who's a horrible person. I'm not talking about just a bad lawyer. She's not a good lawyer, but she's a horrible person.
But they convicted you.
She convicted me by lying to the jury. Okay? She lied to the jury, straight up.
And they locked you down right in the courtroom.
She got up and she said, because they told me, you look, until we select a prison camp for you to go to, you'll be on your own. And then you have to go surrender yourself. And that's how it normally works, So
get your affairs in order.
Yeah, take your time. Now, don't get me wrong. I knew I was going to get convicted of the tax stuff. Not all of it, but 6 of the charges of the 13 charges, I did. There's no way out.
You've told me that.
I did this. Yeah. I did. The failure to file taxes, 6 counts I was guilty of.
How many years did you not pay taxes?
That's a good question. I don't know.
More than 10?
No. This is like, this isn't 6 years or 7 years of failure to file taxes. this is corporate and personal taxes. Okay, so you don't owe taxes if you got nothing to pay. And you don't have to file. You don't have to do it. Now, I am screwed up on my taxes.
You're being a jailhouse lawyer right now.
No, I'm not. From day one.
Yeah.
Okay, my accountant has done this before for me. Gone in and said, okay, fix all this stuff up, bring it out. And we were in the process of doing that right then. And we had started filing the taxes. And then when they realized I was starting to file the taxes and a couple other things, they moved on me. Now, what people don't know is this investigation started on me in 2009. In 2016, they indict me. Now, Peter, I'm not going to use you. Anybody, if I took millions of dollars and tons of agents, federal agents, and I investigated you for 7 years, you will go to prison. Yeah. That's it. You're going to prison. What's his name wrote that book, 3 Felonies a Day? Yeah. Every businessman commits 3 felonies every day.
But why? I mean, we've talked this out. You did the time. I mean,
yeah, because there's a target on my back.
What's the great line? You give them the rope, they're going to hang you.
Hey, I said that Barack Obama and Eric Holder should be in prison over Fast and Furious, and they should. Okay.
But I said stuff on the air. I've been.
So here's the difference. Yeah. You say stuff on the air, but you've told me on the air before. Yeah. You've said to me when we did radio shows, Rich, don't say that name.
Only because you don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that's been sued.
I get it. And I've been sued too. And so here's the thing: when you piss off the president and the attorney general so badly by saying that they should be in prison for something they should be in prison for, and they have the power to start an investigation like that, then you can't stop it.
With respect, the things that we do on the air, and I've been through it with people, I've been sued.
Yeah.
And when I hear these people crow and sue me, I'm going, you don't want to go through that. I've been through 3 of them.
I've been through
3 of them, and they're not fun to do. And I always tell people, don't say that, only because it isn't that guilt or innocent. You don't want to go through it. And
well, the process sucks. You don't want to be in court for anything. And the reason you don't want to be is you're putting everything, all your eggs in one basket, where one person hears a snapshot of what went on and makes a decision.
But with respect, because we do stuff every day and we anger people up, and that's part of it. You had a national television show.
Absolutely, that they shut down.
What happened in the end of that before we talk about the other thing?
The feds closed it down.
That's hard to believe.
Well, if you saw everything they closed down, every single bank account, every relationship where I made money, they went to those people and said, don't do business with this guy ever again or you're going to prison.
The names of the people that did that to you?
The Mark Feltz from the ATF, Agent Mark Feltz.
Went to
who knows how many people.
Were they investigating you at the point, or were they just doing this to get you?
They were investigating. Here's what happened.
All right.
They were investigating me. I didn't know about it. I had no idea. For 7 years, they were investigating me. My store got burglarized. You remember that?
Of course.
Okay. When that store got burglarized, they said that I did it.
Of course they said it. I heard it from...
Which was a lie.
Well, people called me and said you did it.
Okay, well, people are full of...
Okay, all right.
I don't know what are... Okay, and anybody that wants to deal with that, come talk to me directly. See, nobody is going to say that to my face.
Well, I think you and I talked about it.
Well, you don't think I did it, do you?
I don't know. I'm not being honest. I don't know if you did.
Peter, do you really mean that?
Yeah.
You think I might have robbed my own store?
Not robbed it, removed some records, done whatever. It's not that I would have done it. I mean,
you're full of shit too then.
No.
Yeah, you are, Peter, because you know better than that.
I don't. I don't know better than anybody.
Okay, well, Peter.
I'm being honest.
$100,000 worth of guns were stolen. No records were stolen.
Yeah.
Just guns.
What about the computer terminal?
The computer wasn't stolen.
Well, that's what they said.
That's what they said, but they lied. Here's what happened.
Well, why couldn't you take that into court and say this didn't happen?
What didn't happen?
That the computer terminal, that the cops, all the ATF guys...
That had nothing to do with the court case.
Okay.
So here's what happened. I walked in when the Wheat Ridge cops called me and said, hey, your place is being broken into.
You called me. I
walked in the store.
Holes in the roof.
And there's but that hole's tiny.
Right.
Okay. I walked in the store and I looked around and I said, hey, they stole this computer. Look, there's a computer missing here. You could see the wires out from underneath the desk.
I was there.
Now, Peter, I'm not a computer guy. I don't even, the cash register I had at the shop, I couldn't even ring you up if you came in the store because I don't know anything about computers. At that time, I didn't even have an email address that I checked. I didn't have that.
You had the show on television.
Yeah. So
was that over before the
But hang on.
All right, okay.
Let me finish
All
this.
right.
So I walk in there and I said, hey, they stole a computer. As soon as my guy showed up, they said, no, the computer wasn't stolen. It's right here. I moved that computer from here to there. And everybody went, oh, okay. No computer was stolen.
Part of what I read was that there was a terminal.
But Peter,
is that true?
There was a terminal, but it's never missing. It was just moved.
Okay.
It was moved from one point to another point. My guys came in as soon as the opening hours came and said, hey, that wasn't stolen. I moved it from here to there.
Why? I mean, your alarm system wasn't on?
Yeah, my alarm system was on. It went off, and the police didn't respond.
See, because I thought you had told me one time the alarm system was not on when they broke in.
No, the cameras didn't work.
All right.
They couldn't recover the information from the cameras. The alarm system was on. The alarm went off. The guy across the street called it in and said the alarm's going off.
Right.
Marty called in and said the alarm's going off.
He saw the car leave the lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how could Marty saw the car leave the lot?
Yeah.
The police went and did raids. They drove tanks into people's houses looking for these guns.
Right.
They tell me they know who did it.
Right.
But the federal government went and told people, I did it, and you think it's possible.
I think anything's possible. I mean, come on.
Pete, you know me.
Look, we're not talking about friendship here. We're talking about conceivability in a crime. It has nothing to do with anything.
Okay, but I'm telling you, they didn't charge me with any of that ever because there was nothing. Because as soon as my guys came in, they said, we moved that tower.
What was the gun beef that you got charged with guns?
Okay, there's a great one.
All right.
They charged me with felony theft from an at-risk adult.
Yeah, in Florida.
Now, not before.
All right.
Okay, during.
All right.
Now, why did they charge me with that? Because when the ATF came and did a raid, they said, hey, we want to talk to you. And I said, hey, that's great. Go get me a lawyer. I'm handcuffed. Yeah. They threw me out of my truck down on the ground, pointing machine guns at me, treating me like a terrorist.
Yeah.
They got me on the ground, and I'm not talking to them. I'm not speaking to these people. Anybody that does speak to the cops in that situation is what we call an idiot. Okay, because they're not here to help you.
No.
That's all bullshit.
I agree. Don't talk.
And I've been a cop. I know. You don't answer questions in that. When cops get in a shooting, they don't speak to other cops until their lawyer gets there.
Sure.
Okay? So I lawyer up. So then Agent Mark Feltz goes and says to there's Wheat Ridge, Denver, Lakewood, all these cops are there at this event, to torture me, right? And next thing you know, Wheat Ridge police says, hey, we want to ask you about this lady that's got guns on consignment with you. I said, yeah, what do you want to know? Well, she said you wouldn't give them back. I said, she won't take the background check that's required by the federal government to get the guns back. I can't legally give her the guns. I've been dancing with her with this for a long time. Next thing you know, I'm charged with a crime.
I remember that.
Okay, so I get charged with...
Did they find the guns in the raid?
The guns were in the store.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they were in the store. Now, if I had them at home under my pillow, then I stole them.
When they came in and they took the guns,
how
many guns did they take out of the store?
893.
Wow. Where are those guns now?
Well, some of them were returned to the owners, not very many.
Right.
And the rest of them they still got. Millions of dollars.
Where are the guns?
They got them. And other stuff.
Did you know that at that point it was the beginning of the end?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But Pete, go back to this original charge because I want to be clear on this.
Right.
The original charge was Jefferson County, Pete Weir, and Scott Story.
Yeah.
The DAs filed charges against me for felony theft from an at-risk adult.
I remember all that.
And I went to trial.
Yep.
Judge Tamra Russell was my judge. And I don't say this very often. She's a good judge. Okay? She looked over the case, and we went through this process, and I realized that this wasn't going to be a slam dunk. So I went and hired a good attorney, Harvey Steinberg, and I went into court. And Harvey slayed the dragon. He beat the crap out of Scott Story. So much that Scott Story quit the case, wouldn't work on it anymore because he was so embarrassed. The judge was yelling at him, Mr. Story, I am gonna throw this case out of court if you don't do this, this, and this. All right? And so they offered me a plea deal. They said, hey, you're gonna get convicted in the feds anyway. So just go ahead and plead guilty and to this felony. It's no big deal. I said, absolutely not. So then they came to me and they said, hey, just plead guilty to this misdemeanor charge. It's a no big deal. You won't be in any trouble. Just plead guilty to this misdemeanor. I said, absolutely not. I am going to trial because I want to hear the jury's.
Was that a Fed at that point or state or
I'm
county?
in state. I'm just talking about Jefferson County, the state charges.
Now, did you know the Feds were lurking?
Yeah, I knew the Feds were on me. They were coming like racehorses. The Feds were the ones that promoted all this. The Feds did this. The Feds put these charges on me, so I would have to go to trial, and I would have to get up and take the stand and speak. And they wanted to do that to try to use that to gain information to charge me federally with crimes.
Short of, and you know, it's hard. The Obama thing is difficult. Why do you think?
It's not difficult.
Why did they?
I got proof.
Why did they Jones you?
Okay, well, let me go back because I haven't finished this part, and it's very important. Jefferson County dismissed all charges against me and refused to take me to trial because they knew that I would win and I would embarrass them and I would sue them for, which I threatened to do, for malicious prosecution of the law. Malicious prosecution. And they wouldn't take me to trial. They would not give me my day in court.
Lakewood PD is out of this altogether, other than they were
there.
Agents. Yeah.
Wheat Ridge PD.
Right.
No, Wheat Ridge PD is not out of it. Wheat Ridge PD arrested me. Wheat Ridge PD broke the law.
How many times actually were you cuffed during all this different stuff?
Twice.
Up until the moment of...
Twice.
Twice. Wow.
Twice.
How did that feel?
Well, the first time was very quickly and brutally. They threw me down on the ground, broke my glasses, and cuffed me.
Which department?
ATF, Wheat Ridge, Lakewood, Denver, and IRS.
Wow.
And I don't know what other. There were so many people, and they will not tell me who all the people that were there were. There was at least 40 guys pointing machine guns at me. Threw me on the ground, broke my glasses. I got up and I said, "Am I under arrest?" And they said, "No." And I said, "See you later." And I started walking away, and they go, "Hey, we got you cuffed." I go, "You gave me the cuffs. I'm leaving."
Cuffed behind your back.
Cuffed behind my back. See, they don't like it when you know the law. It's really frustrating. You know why they did that to me? Because I picked up this phone, not this one, but a phone like this. And I said, "You know what? You're out of control. I'm going to record this." And he grabbed the phone. "You don't record this. We get and started screaming. They jumped in my truck, threw me on the ground, threw the lumps to me a little bit, and took my gun. I had 2 guns on, a 45 on my right hip and a pistol on my left ankle. Took the guns off me. And when I tried to leave, they wouldn't let me leave. And they said, "You're being detained." I said, no. I'm either arrested or I'm free to go. There's no middle ground. There's no, "Hey, we can detain you."
Now, where were you? Which department were you in when that happened?
This was in a driveway at Gunsmoke.
Oh, okay, all right.
In the driveway at
So
Gunsmoke.
they never went back to the department or anything?
Oh, no, they let me go.
Okay.
They released me and sent me home.
All right.
They said, "Hey, you can go." They gave me my guns back. I loaded them up, put them on, and drove away in my truck.
That was the first time. Second time?
The second time, they called me up. They didn't call me. They called Harvey Steinberg, who I had as my lawyer, and also I had Steve Anderson handling my federal case, and both excellent attorneys.
If you were jammed up, you call Harvey.
Well, it depended what I was jammed up on.
No, I mean, for me,
Yeah,
if I had Harvey.
Yeah. And now, but for taxes, Steve Anderson's the best
Okay.
in the country. Unbelievable guy. I mean, he told me what they were going to do to me, and they did everything he said they were going to do to me. They did it. Okay, so the second time you asked about, I'm at my buddies. I'm out with my kids one night, and this stuff's just looming. I haven't been indicted by the feds. I got this state charge still working against me, and I'm fighting that tooth and nail. And by the way, the state charged me multiple times with different crimes. I can go into that if you want.
I remember that as well.
Okay, they charged me with felony bond violation for violating my bond, and the judge told them before they charged me with it, "Mr. Wyatt's not guilty of that. Don't charge him with it." And then they went to another judge and got me charged.
Why? I mean, why do all of these men and women in law enforcement? Why did they want a hunk of you?
Well, this isn't all the men and women in law enforcement.
No, but, I mean, it seems
hold
like
on. That's very important.
All right.
This is not. This is a very limited few.
But
very limited.
How many different
Matter of fact,
Richard, how many different agencies?
well, they were all part of a task force. okay? They're all part of a task force. Now, if you go back and look, okay, they went to many, many people in law enforcement and said, hey, we're going to get this guy. And they said, no, not with my help, you're not. They said, I'm friends with that guy.
Who said no?
I'm not going to name their names. I'm not going to name their names. But there were guys that work for the ATF that were not there. There were guys that worked for Wheat Ridge PD that would not go and participate in this because they said this is bullshit, okay? Wouldn't go, all right? Now, and even the judge was so offended when they found out they charged me with felony bond violation when I wasn't guilty of it. The judge was furious. She was you don't see judges that mad yelling at the prosecution that I'm going to dismiss these charges against you if you keep up this behavior. You know, it's pathetic. Listen, this is the second time I get arrested. Harvey gets the call. He calls me up. He says, hey, Rich, they got a warrant for your arrest. I said, okay, what does that mean? He said, well, they could break in your door at your house and knock down your door and come in and pull you out in cuffs at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's what they usually do. I said, Harvey, don't let that happen. I got kids. This isn't right. This isn't, you know. So he calls them up and makes a deal with them and basically tells them, don't do it. You know, we'll surrender at any time you want. So they tell me what time to surrender. I call up and I said, hey, could I come a half hour later because I got to drop my kids off at school? And they told me I'd be home that day. They said, you'll be home that afternoon. And they said, absolutely not. You meet us at the courthouse. So I went down to the courthouse. I walk into the courthouse.
The feds?
The federal courthouse. You've been there. I've walked in there with you before. You go through the metal detectors. All the guys standing there running the metal detectors are retired cops, every single one of them. Okay, they wear blue jackets and gray slacks, but they're all retired, real cops that do real police work. Not like a lot of the federal agents out there that do desk work, okay? I walk in there, I go through the metal detector, everything's in the bin, and Mark Feltz and this IRS agent named Ben Hopping run over, and Mark Feltz grabs me, throws me up against the wall, and starts patting me down. And the cops that are standing there go, what are you doing? We told you not to do this. And he goes, I'm a federal agent. I'm taking this guy into custody. He's got me cuffed up already. Takes my shoes off. Okay? I'm standing right in the lobby of the courthouse, getting it happen. And the cops go, we told you not to do this. He's a self-surrender. If he didn't want to be here, he wouldn't be here. He just went through the metal detector. What are you doing? This isn't how we do it. We told you this. And he goes, I do what I want him. And he marches me into the U.S. Marshal's office. And who walks out of the U.S. Marshal's office?
I know.
You know.
I know.
Kenny Deal.
Absolutely.
The U.S. Marshal, not a marshal, the boss. And he looks at me and says, hey, Rich, how you doing? And I said, you know, Kenny, this isn't my best day. I was pretty embarrassed, Pete. Here I am, walked through the whole courthouse, no shoes on, handcuffed, walking around, doing his little perp walk for Mark Feltz. Even the IRS agent, I could tell, was embarrassed and disgusted by Mark Feltz's behavior. And Kenny Deal said to him, turned to the ATF agent, he said, what are you doing? This isn't how we do this. Take him outside, bring him through the Sally Port, and do it right. And he goes, he goes, no, you don't. He goes, get outside and do it right. See, this guy, for whatever reason, hated my guts, you know?
I don't know anybody that feels that way about me.
Well, Pete.
Or you.
Pete, listen, you either like me or you hate me. There's no middle ground. But people.
Nah.
You know what I mean? People. They either like me or they hate me. Well, it's the same with you.
And that's a good thing.
They like you or they hate you. I'm not against it. I'm not mad.
No, that's not
the people that don't like me, that's great. I don't want to like them.
But if you step into the spotlight.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I say this all the time, and I can say, you're a great family guy. You've always been, all the other crap aside. And I always told my kids, I said, look, you go to this rock concert, and Barry Fay always took care of my kids. And I said, and all your little buddies are smoking pot. You smoke pot, you get grabbed. I said, we're going in the paper. Yes. Not because you're Shannon Boyles, but because you're old man. Yes. I said, and thankfully, knock wood, they never either didn't get caught or didn't do it. And I know your heart. At the same time, was there ever a moment, because you're like a smart guy, we go back through all kinds of stuff together, we both did. Did you ever say, Jesus, I mean, you've said to me one time, because there's a thing called regrets in recovery. What's the regret?
Oh my God. Yeah. My regrets, we don't have enough time. I'm going to be here for 3 days.
I know.
Okay, Peter, let me tell you about what my regrets. My regrets are I'm an idiot. Okay?
I've never said that.
I mean, Peter, my wife begged me to stop screwing around with my taxes. Yeah. She said, just get it done, just go in there. And I don't like to do it. I don't know how to do it. I hire an accountant to do it. I'm not comfortable with doing it. I don't want to do it. All the reasons that everybody doesn't want to be involved with taxes. And so, you know, I make it the last thing, and the last thing never gets done. And you know what? I'm historic about that. And she begged me. Pete, she took me to the pastor of my church and sat me down and said, he won't file his taxes and he needs to do it. And the pastor of my church screwed up too. Good friend of mine, Russ McKendry.
Sure.
You know him.
Yeah.
And Russ said, well, Rich, do you do that? I said, yeah, I do that. I said, I don't pay it. And then they come around, they say, pay it, and I pay it, and I pay a penalty. Everybody's happy but me. You know, they got their money, and I'm done, you know. And he said to Renee, do you get everything you need? And she said, yeah. He said, then don't worry about it. And you know what? And even he regrets that to this day, because if I would have listened to my wife, I would have never went to prison, okay?
You would listen to a lot of people, not Renee aside, but you were like, I always thought when you got into the television show that was this huge hit show.
Yeah.
You changed.
What do you think changed?
You know, because I knew we were going to talk about it, or at least I wanted to talk about it. And we all do it, but it's called Before the Fall and After the Fall, and we talked about a fall.
Sure.
You became, and you know, you've never been a shrinking violet.
No.
But you became full of yourself.
Okay, I probably did.
Oh, Richard.
You know, I mean,
we
you
talked.
You know what, Peter? Everybody does that.
My point.
I mean,
you live in a spotlight, it's going to change.
If you get fame, you're famous. And you start to have expectations. I mean, Peter, when you walk into a place and people drop their stuff on the floor and say, oh my God, I can't believe it's you.
Sure.
That's intoxicating like a drug.
No one knows it better.
I know.
But I saw you, and the Rich that I knew, that first time we ever meet, it's in a machine gun. Actually, it's about Pat Sullivan, which is take 2 more hours of television.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I watched you, and I watched you, and I watched you get
30 years ago.
Yeah, my point. I had my kids with me and everything. And then, but when the TV show was either the biggest gift or the biggest curse. I'm not sure which one it was.
It was both.
Yeah.
It was both. It wasn't, you know, look.
When you got the television show.
Yeah.
And one thing I say about any time I wanted to fundraise for people, this is pre your TV gig, you never said no. Guys, we raised funds for people. We saved Corey Voorhees' house.
I know.
Remember that guy that they stole his lowboy, and he shot that guy?
No, they stole Bobby.
Think about it, but they were going to put him because he shot.
They stole his trailer.
His lowboy,
and he shot the guy.
Trailer, shot the guy.
And he shot the guy.
Driveway,
and
you were there for that guy.
And it was the same guy, Scott Story.
They came after
who abused him, and Scott Story charged him with a crime that he wasn't guilty of.
I'll tell you a story.
He was not guilty.
It
was self-defense.
I went to a fund. Oh yeah, we raised money for him.
Yeah, not enough.
Well,
because he took the guilty plea from Scott Story.
Yeah, he took the plea.
You know,
And
I'm telling you right now, Scott Story's dirty.
Why? Well, I saw him on Saturday night.
Yeah, and he's dirty. Saturday night, he was dirty then, and he's dirty now.
Watch it.
I get it.
I know. Watch it.
But I'm telling you, what he did to me was wrong. And the judge told him he was wrong. The judge said, you have to comply with discovery. You have to give him this information. And he argued with the judge and said, no, I don't. And she said, yes, you do, and I'll dismiss the charges. That's dirty to me. You don't do that stuff. You be fair. Listen, if you can't win in court, you can't win. Sometimes you got the wrong guy. Look at the guy Masters up in Larimer County that was charged with murder, went to jail, and then later on it was proven he didn't kill anybody. Okay? I didn't steal those guns from that lady. I never did that. That never happened. Okay? But they charged me with a crime. And I went to court. And then what did they do? They dismissed it. Now, they did press releases when they charged me.
I remember all of it.
They put all that stuff out.
They put you on the front page of
the Denver Post
in an orange jumpsuit.
That's right. And when I got out, and when they dropped the charges, did they do a press conference and say, no, we were wrong? No. Did the federal government come forward and say, the judge and the prosecutor lied to the jury to secure this conviction against Rich Wyatt? See, they charged me, Pete, with illegally selling guns. I never did that in my life. They charged me with conspiracy to sell illegal guns. I never did that in my life.
But,
I never did it. And they did not convict me of it.
It was once said, You know, jails are full of innocent people.
Well, I didn't say I'm innocent. I just said I didn't do those things. And I wasn't.
But when the moment had to come, I mean, I didn't know about your solitary confinement. You never told me.
Oh, I was in solitary 4 times. 4 times I got sent to the hole while I was in prison. 4 times. Do you know what one of them was for? Right here in Englewood, Colorado, when COVID hit, they put me in the hole for inciting a riot.
I could see that.
Okay, I could see it too, but I didn't do it. But I didn't do it. But listen to what happened. Right. You won't believe this story. So I'm sitting in solitary confinement in Englewood. I know I'm about to get out of jail, prison, because I know I've won. Yeah. I mean, the paperwork hadn't come down, but I know something's happening. Okay. Then they charged me with another crime 4 years later. Okay. And I'm sitting there, and this guy walks up to the door of the solitary confinement. It's not solitary because you're in with another guy. It's called the SHU, Special Housing Unit. It's called the Hole. Right. Okay, you go there when you're ever in trouble. And he walks up and he goes, "Hey, Rich." And I look up, and who do you think it was? Corey Voorhees.
Oh, that's right, I knew
Lieutenant Corey Voorhees, who's working for the BOP.
I had lunch with him, I think, after that.
And you know what he said? "Hey, Rich, I watched the tapes. You didn't do it."
Yeah.
You didn't do it.
No,
he said, "Just tell him you didn't do it." But, you know, it's the same thing. And cops have said this for years. You may beat the charge, but you won't beat the ride. You know, you may not be guilty, but I'm still locking you up and you're still going to jail tonight.
Are you a victim?
No. I'm a victim of myself. You know, did they do things that were not fair, not right, and lie about me? Absolutely, 100%.
But a guy like me who...
Did I commit violations of the tax code for failure to file taxes? 6 counts? Yes, I did.
What about the guns? I mean, here I am.
Okay, what about the guns?
We've been friends
Shoot it down
forever. And, you know, and I know I angered you up by saying I'm not sure.
Yeah, it pisses me off because you know better.
Oh, but again...
You know better.
I watch all of these things happen.
Pete, if I did it, I would have told you.
Yeah. I mean, but
that's one thing about me. I'm going to tell you what I did.
But when you were away...
Yeah.
I mean, it was like... And we probably can't say this, but we can say I'd get occasional phone calls.
Sure.
And I used to think I'd be so mad at you.
Oh, Pete, listen. What happened to me?
I'm not a cherry.
Let me go back to this, okay? What happened to me going to prison is difficult because, you know, I went into the Thunderdome and I dealt with stuff that, you know, terrible stuff, which is nothing compared to what happened to my family.
I know.
See, the only thing that I did bad here was destroying my family. And hurting my family.
Let me do this.
No, my kids.
I know, Richard.
My kids, my wife, and even some of my friends, okay, I hurt. And that's what I did wrong.
You know, one time
I loaded the shotgun to let them get me, and I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
If I'd have been crystal clean, they couldn't have got me. But you know what the truth is? They still go after you. It's just like Jefferson County. Rich Wyatt's been arrested, a $50,000 bond for stealing guns that I never, ever stole. And nobody's ever said, "Hey, I apologize." Who was it? What was the guy's name that worked in Bush's cabinet that says, "Yeah, they've let
Ray
me
Donovan. Where do I go to get my
reputation back?" Well, how come nobody comes out and says,
"So you're here."
Yeah, but you know what, Pete? None of these other guys. You know, it's just like...
Look, when you came home, who showed up to be with you?
I understand.
All right. So what I'm saying to you is this is a shoot.
I get it.
We're talking.
Yeah.
And when you were gone, I was so pissed at you. I mean, and because I said, "This is Rich Wyatt." And big deal, I would defend you. I don't care about that. But
Pete,
in the bottom, no, in the end of this, it was like, the guy's sitting, I think you called me once from El Reno or Beaumont, Texas.
I was in El Reno and Beaumont, Texas. I called you from both places.
And I'm thinking...
But Pete, let's back up a second. Right. If a guy owes money for taxes, what do they normally do to him?
I have no idea.
I do.
They scare the hell out of me.
I do. They walk in and they go, "Hey, get this done or you're going to be in trouble." I said to him the day they came, the IRS was the first ones that came. I said exactly this. I said, "Hey, I realize I'm getting caught up on my taxes."
Did you thumb your nose at him?
No.
That's one of the beefs, you know, like people say, "Well, Richard ignored."
No, I didn't ignore. That's a lie.
All right.
Okay, now, here's what they think is thumbing their nose at him. They wanted me to go out of business when they did that first raid. And when I didn't go out of business, and the next day I said, "Hey, they came, they took some records, and I'm having a sale."
I don't know if you remember, you called me.
Yeah.
And I parked in the Dairy Queen or wherever that was next door to you,
yeah.
and you let me under the yellow wire, under the tape. You said,
Yeah.
come on in.
Okay.
And the ATF guys, the ATF guys were in there, and the place was packed. And I'm
No. The ATF wouldn't let me under the yellow line.
Then who was there when you let me in? Somebody let me in. You let me in.
That must have been after they left.
Okay, fair
they
enough.
left the tape up because they don't clean up their mess because they're pigs.
Anyhow.
You know, they break down the doors. They don't need to break down the doors. They got the keys.
I'm looking at you, and we were in a motorcycle club together. You were good to my family.
Always.
I knew your family. I knew everything that was going on, and I was sitting there, and I'm going, all right, what am I watching? And it's biblical, the fall.
Yeah.
And you know, when you got the TV gig, and it was a hit. I mean, I was in one chapter of it. Just kind of.
I remember.
And one episode. And I mean, guys that loved you, and some of them still do, and some of them, like you said, you want to know when you're hurt was, you know.
You know, that's one thing I got to say. I don't have people that walked away from me that were my friends.
Yeah, you're real friends.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I say that too.
I don't.
Yeah, when I got,
and you know what? Nobody, I hear people, you know, I heard you this morning say some guy wrote that I was
a crook.
A jailbird and a crook.
Yeah, that was just one of many.
Yeah. And you know what? I went to jail.
And I told him, yeah.
And I heard you say it. And I committed a crime.
Yeah.
I committed a crime.
Yeah.
And you know what? So did that guy.
Well,
his crime hasn't been discovered. Yeah. But he committed a crime too. Yeah, you know, so
it's too easy.
Why is it too easy? It's true.
Well, I don't know if it's true.
You know it's true. No. Pete, you've committed a crime.
Many crimes.
Okay, but you didn't go to jail for it.
Well, or somebody did something to somebody. But what I think is, and I love you with my heart. There's a reason you're here, because we talked about it. It's like renew, begin again. You have this opportunity.
I do.
And right now.
And I'm coming out.
What the biggest, I mean, you mentioned your family as the regret.
Yeah, huge.
But when you sit what you've been through, my God, I have no idea what that's like.
No.
But there had to be these dark moments, and you're going like, what have I done?
Oh my God. Can you imagine being taken away from your family?
Oh.
The prosecutor stands up and says, Your Honor, we want him jailed now because he's a threat to society. Mm-hmm. And the judge says, okay, now what threat am I to society?
No.
If I was going to go off, it would have happened. You know, I had plenty of time to do crazy stuff, okay? And I am crazy, you're crazy, everybody I know is crazy.
Yeah.
But we're not stupid crazy. I'm not going to go tearing up a place or burning down a building or pulling any of these things that, you know, people do that are nuts.
When did you know you were going to go?
Oh, I knew I was going to go the day the first raid came from the IRS. I knew I was done.
Wow.
Yeah.
You never said that before.
Yeah, you know why I knew? Because I screwed up my taxes. I didn't do them. I screwed it up. I owed. I said to the IRS guy, I owe you money. I'm having an accountant work it out right now. Can't we just take care of this? And normal response would be yes. You know what he said to me? We don't care about getting the money. We're putting you in prison. Now, is the goal of the IRS to put people in prison, or is the goal of the IRS to get people compliant with their taxes? It's of course compliance. Really, they want the money. Okay? And, you know, people, like the guy says, I'm a crook on the sent you thing this morning. And of course, the other funny thing about that is nobody's ever said any of that stuff to my face because they're weak-minded cowards. Okay, they get to write their little thing in, you know, for the basement bandits.
Keyboard commandos.
Yeah. And so,
telephone tough guys.
But here, that's right.
Yeah,
but you know what? That same guy will come pat you on the back and go, man, they screwed you. You know, that's how they are. That's how people are.
What's it been like since you got home? I know. Look, I know.
It's been really bad.
I know.
Because since I've been home, it's been worse than when I was there.
You told me something, and you said to me,
I can't get back to my...
you said something to me that I told my recovery group. You said to me, all I could think of is if I got home from the penitentiary, I would never have another bad day. Do you remember telling me that? At the darkest night, you said that to me. You said, and then the truth was, the worst days were to come.
I thought I was at the bottom of the barrel.
No.
But the bottom of the barrel doesn't exist. I'll never say it again.
No.
Because the bottom of the barrel is so deep.
And dark.
And dark, you can't imagine. Listen.
When I went through...
It's my kids.
I know.
That's the issue.
It's the only thing that counts.
My wife, my kids, what I did to them.
Yeah.
What happened to me was nothing.
Hey.
Nothing. They didn't do... You think you hurt me? No. What you hurt was my family. See, they don't take that into consideration. No. When they do your pre-sentence investigation to find out how long you should stay in jail, they don't say, hey, this guy's a father and he's taking care of his kids and he does this and he's and we need to consider that. But boy, they consider every other thing, And we talk about families and we talk about that federal judge said to me during my sentencing that I used my kids as pawns. And she's a lying bitch because I did not do that. She said to me that I did my fundraising because I had money. And that's what people with money do. And you did it to boost yourself up and make yourself more famous. Again, she's a liar. Peter, the first fundraising I did, I was a little kid working for the Special Olympics because my sister that's 1 year younger than me is retarded.
I never knew that until just recently.
You know what? I don't run around.
No.
You know what I mean? And like, here's the thing. How could you say that about me? You don't know me. You know what? She discarded letters from people that went to school with her, that are friends of both of ours, that wrote great letters about me. Do you know people wrote letters that I never even asked?
Yeah, I know.
That they wrote them and mailed them in. One guy wrote this letter and talked about how he saw me with my family and how great it was and unbelievable stuff, and they don't take that into consideration. You know what? Now it's different. You know what? If you're a dad and you got 5, 6 kids and you're baby mama and you've never seen the kids and you don't know what day's their birthday and you haven't bought them a car and you don't live there, you don't drive them to school, you don't fix their lunch, then you know what? You don't get credit for that. But if those are things you do, to take a person away from their child. See, they never came to me and said, you won your appeal. We were wrong. We're sorry. I wish they would have said that. They never said that. They never said, we hurt your family. We're sorry about that. They never said, if you took the tax charges that I was charged with, I got 19 months for those taxes. But I did 4 years. But I wasn't guilty of any other crime.
So now, I know you have some ideas for some things to do. I know that the passion in your life since your little kids has been firearms. You can't touch a gun. You can't have guns in the house.
Can't touch a gun.
You can't do anything with guns.
Yep.
That's done.
That's done. I did 3 things. I was a fireman, a cop, and a gun guy, a gunsmith by trade. It's illegal for me to do any of those jobs.
You can't do them. We had a conversation with the man you just mentioned.
Yes.
Who said, we talk about you a lot, and I said, in many ways, you should probably have killed him when he was in a joint, probably better. And that's because I know what you've been through.
Well, I thought about that.
Yeah.
Because my kids would have had plenty of money. They took all the money.
Sure.
They took my money. They took my bank accounts. They closed everything down. They stole everything they could get. They gave me 0 credit towards my taxes. They came out.
How much do you still owe?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, to be honest. I'll tell you what my accountants, what my lawyers did. They said I owe $368,000.
In legal bills?
No.
In taxes.
In taxes. Okay, I owe $368,000. So they said, the federal government said I owed $500,000, and we agreed to that. And we accepted that and said, okay, I'll pay $500,000 back. And then as soon as we accepted that, then they came and said, no, you owe $1.2 million.
Wow. That was the number that I think you told me.
Yeah, and now they just filed a lien against me. They never stop. I get this many certified letters, 39 in one day from the IRS. How the hell do they expect me to pay that?
Can you dig your way out of it? Impossible?
You know what? Yes, I can.
Yeah.
And yes, I will.
Yeah.
You want to know why I'll do it? Because I want to prove to them that I'm not the scumbag they tried to make me look like. When I went to court, I started feeling bad about myself. I started thinking, man, you're a really bad guy.
I saw you the day before you were sentenced.
They did such bad stuff. Look at what, they accused me of hiring a hit to hit this guy Agent Mark Feltz. You know who they thought the shooter was? The hitter? The person that was coming to get him? Chuck Bonnewell.
Who, when he went into court to witness the trial, they tossed him. Did you know that?
They didn't toss him.
No, but I'm saying they asked him who he was. They were.
Well, no, he walked out.
Yeah.
The U.S. Marshals.
They tossed him in the hall after.
That's right. The U.S. Marshals went out and said, hey, and he said, listen, I don't have to tell you
First of all,
anything.
I don't have to tell you anything.
Yeah. But Agent.
They thought Bonnewell?
Well, they knew it wasn't true,
No.
but they were, because here's what happened. Chuck came in, and I said, here's what's happening, Chuck. That guy's the prosecutor. That guy's that lady's the prosecutor.
I know the story, yeah.
And so I said all these things, and so when he saw him point at me, he used that because Agent.
I never knew that part of it.
Yeah, and I didn't know it either until my lawyer came and told me later on, listen, that's nuts. You and I, you know me.
Oh.
If something was going to happen bad to a person,
you'd have done it.
That's exactly right.
I know that. I've seen you in action. We've been in action together.
Yeah, there's no way.
No,
I would,
no.
you know, and to think Chuck Bonnewell, are you kidding me with this crap? I mean, listen, I screwed up, okay? I screwed up for my family. I wasn't there for 5 years because counting the time that before trial that I wasn't around and I was absorbed by this thing, and then going to prison and having to talk to my kids on the telephone. I never saw my family for 4 years. I didn't see my wife for 4 years. I saw one visitor, and you know what? I didn't even want him to come.
Yeah, well, I remember you waved it off.
I did. I told everybody, don't come, please.
Because we were talking about going to Leavenworth to see you.
I know you guys were, but it was, honestly, it's just too much trouble.
I have friends that have been through what you've been through. They know, there was an interesting thing, of all people, Jimmy Hoffa, in a book after he was released from prison.
Him in prison. He's still there. It's all a trick.
Jimmy Hoffa said, when you go to prison, you don't want any contact with the outside because you don't want to know what's going on because you don't want to think about it. You're in prison. And
it's worse than that. It's not that you don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
I can't fix it. If you call me up and say, this happened to your daughter, I can't fix it.
Yeah.
Do you know the pain?
You don't want to know. Yeah, you don't want to know.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. One of the biggest fights I almost got in Denver City Jail, my little daughter had a cataract. I didn't even know kids got cataracts, and she had to have surgery. And we scheduled the surgery before I was going to go to jail. And then when they put me in early, I missed the surgery at Children's Hospital. Wow. And so at 4 o'clock that day, I had scheduled to call her and to speak to her and see how she came out. She was scared to death. They said, oh yeah, you can go. You can go because you haven't been sentenced, but you have to pay 3 U.S. Marshals and you have to be in shackles. Oh, that'll soothe my daughter.
Yeah, she'll feel good.
Yeah, she'll feel great about that. And by the way, I don't have the money to pay the U.S. Marshals because I got no money. I'm flat-ass broke.
I never knew that story.
I'm flat-ass broke, yeah. Well, so I'm sitting there, so I go over to get on the phone, and the phones are a nightmare. And I go to get on this Denver City Jail phone right downtown, looking right out across the street at Shotgun Willie's, Donovan's place. And I'm looking out there, and I go to get on the phone, and this guy picks up the phone, and he's using it on my time. You got a little sheet. And so I said, listen, my time comes up in 5 minutes. Don't stay on that phone. Yeah. I said, I got a very important call. He stays on the phone.
Yeah.
I walk over there, and I said, dude, get off the phone. He goes, I'm talking to my mama. I said, well, say goodbye to mama because I'm hanging up the phone on you. I'm going to hang up your phone right now. You're in my time. It's marked on the board right there. That's it. I said, I gave you extra time. I don't have time to argue with you. I got to talk to my kid. And I hung up on him. And he said he was going to, all these things. And I said, well, you have to do it after I talk to my kid. And I dialed the phone. And I had a buddy that stood guard on me, watching me to make sure he didn't jump me from behind while I was on the phone. And I talked to my kid, and she was fine. Thank God. Now, not fine, but she got through it.
Final, because we'll wrap this.
Boy, we're not even close to.
No, this has turned into what I'd hoped it turned into. Rich Wyatt, when people talk about, the darkest night, and I've seen you, this is our, 5th time we've met since you came home and we talk and text. There's, in these moments, and as you have said, and I actually took it to my recovery group, the man who said to me, if I could just come home from prison, I'll never have another bad day. And now what happens?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, there's something called the fall, and you were a high flyer.
What happens to me now?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm starting this new startup company with some guys, and we're going to give away money all over Denver. We're going to drop these little envelopes, and there's money in it.
I'm not going to do this.
Oh yes, I am. Oh yes, I am. And we're going to drop these envelopes. We're going to give away this money.
It's going to start all up again.
And it's going to be a great business. It's going to be a great business.
It's called
It's called cash-rocks, and it's going to be a great business. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to do something else. Because see, Peter, I always did something and did something else. Yeah. And I'm not built to fail. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep moving. Somebody once said that you're the Energizer Bunny. They hit you and you jump back up and keep going. And that's what I'm going to do. And I have to do it for my kids because I have to build back up to where I can provide.
Are they mad at you?
Who?
Your family.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
How could they not be?
Yeah.
I left them.
Yeah.
I chose to screw with the federal government and instead of taking care of the business and taking care of my family. I never thought in a million years it would put me in prison. I never thought it. Yeah. If I had thought it, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But hindsight's 20/20. I can't take that back. So what I did was I pissed him off and I failed to file these taxes. And I gotta do something that makes a lot of money. People don't realize when you get out of prison, they think, oh, the guy's out of prison. Look at that. You can't have a credit card. You can't do anything without the government's approval.
You walked out of prison. People don't know. People say, I walked out of prison. You walked out of prison.
I walked out with a plastic bag full of crap.
Well, you told me the story.
In Englewood, down in Englewood. They lied to me and told me, go to the Walmart. It's 2 blocks away. It's 2 miles if it's 2 blocks. It's probably a mile.
Who'd you call?
I called Robert Kruger to come pick me up. And he came and picked me up. And as I walked out of the prison, it was Friday afternoon. It was hot. The worst thing, this story's terrible. Englewood is a holding facility, like a jail for the feds.
Well, Scotty and I came out to see you. And then we couldn't go to that one, but we went to when you were in the halfway house.
You went when I was in the halfway house, yeah. The halfway house was before I was ever even convicted. They put me in there. You are not innocent until proven guilty in the feds. I will say this, when I walked into Jefferson County and I was charged with that crime, they said I couldn't have a gun. And I said to the judge, Tamara Russell, I said, Your Honor, I haven't committed a crime. I would like to go to trial today because I would like to prove that I didn't do this. This is a lie. And I said, I don't think you should be able to take away my rights. She said, Mr. Wyatt, you're right. You can carry your gun. Now, you can ask anybody. You go ask any of our lawyer buddies. They said, I've never even heard of that before. Well, it happened right here. It's in writing.
So you're walking on the road.
So I'm walking down the road. The bag rips. My stuff's falling out on the ground. Your standards change in prison.
You came home a different guy.
Yeah. Well, that's God. Anyway, this girl's walking by, and I got to call my friend because I can't make it to the Walmart. And I said, excuse me, and this COVID, I don't even know how that's affecting the world. I haven't been outside. And I said, could you call somebody for me? I need some help. And she says, yeah. And she gives me the phone, and she lets me make this call, and I'm telling them where to meet me. She goes, it's right across from the prison. I go, yeah, I know. She had no idea that I was straight out of the prison. And I said, ma'am, I just got out of that prison. She goes, oh, really? And because I didn't look like the guy that walks out of prison. But anyway, everything, listen, this guy, that day I got out was horrifying. They come walking into the unit, and they tell this guy that he's getting out. And he's playing poker for money, and he gives everybody his money, walks over, starts handing out his stuff, because you give away your stuff you don't want to take with you, and some personal stuff you're going to take, your paperwork, your Bible
they
stuff.
stopped it.
And they're giving out all this stuff.
told me this.
And I'm walking up and I shake hands with them like, congratulations, don't be an idiot when you get back out there.
Yeah.
You know, fix yourself. They called the guy drama.
Right.
I said, don't be involved in drama.
You told me this, yeah.
Yeah, and they walk in and I'm talking to him and she goes, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's not you, it's Wyatt.
Yeah.
And you should have seen the look on this poor guy's face. You know, and I walked out the door. Listen, my family was not here. They were out of town, and they wouldn't let me go see them. And I had to sit here and wait to go see them. You know, there's nothing normal. Prison. You started to ask me what was my worst day. My worst day in prison was horrible. You know, and it had to do with everything that was happening outside. And that day, Russ McKendry, my pastor, came in, and I told him what was going on, and he told me, just read Ecclesiastes 3. That'll fix it up. I'm like, no, this is a serious issue. I got to talk to you. He goes, no, I got to talk to you. I go, what? He goes, I need you to start a Bible study in here. I said, Russ, I can't teach a Bible study. I'm an idiot. You know the Bible. I can't teach the Bible. You got to know it. He goes, I'm telling you, you need to start a Bible study. So I walk in there that night. I crack my Bible open. I start reading it. This guy walks up and says, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm studying the Bible. He says, can I join you? Wow. And I said, yeah. That grew in the Denver City Jail to 3 times a day, 7 days a week. Man, I had out of 72 guys, 69 guys holding hands and praying. When we had our Christmas dinner there, which comes at 10:30 in the morning, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, well done. Your tray is overflowing with slop. I asked the cop, I said, Garcia, really good cop. I said, hey, can I put the tables together? I shouldn't say cop, they're guards at the jail. I said, can I put the tables together? And he said, yeah, Wyatt, you do whatever you want. I started putting them together, and all the guys started talking, and they said, I'm not sitting with the Crips, and the Bloods said I'm not sitting with, and this gang, and the Blacks said I'm not sitting with the Blacks, and the most racist place in the world is prison. Yeah. I mean, the federal prison is the worst. Yeah. It's like all black, white, Mexican. That's all it is. Yeah, Asian. And so he says, well, hey, Wyatt, you hear these guys? He says, you're causing a problem. He says, I don't think you should do this. I said, just give me a few more minutes. I think it's going to work. We all sat down, had a family-style dinner. It was phenomenal. This guy. I
know who he is.
He couldn't believe it. Yeah. He couldn't believe it. He said, I've been here 25 years. I've never seen anything like this.
He did you favors.
Oh,
I mean, we'll let it go at that.
That's a different guy. That's a different guy. Oh, that's a different guy. I know who you're talking about.
We talked.
I know you talk. Right. You know, I'm sitting there in prison, and I get called down to this office. I'm not going to say where it was, and they said, do you know Ted Nugent? And I said, yeah, I do know Ted. Yeah. They said, well, I got him on the phone here. I mean, who gets that? Yeah. I was fortunate in some ways, but terrible.
Let's do this. I'm glad I said what I said to you in the first part of this. Reason because that changed your gears. And how you have acted has been what I was telling somebody. I said, if Wyatt hits overdrive tomorrow on this radio show or television show, I'll leave you with this. This is a true story. So Richard comes home and he gives me a text, and we've been friends for over 30 years.
Yeah, Peter.
And so there's a group of people that knew Rich from before. Tell you a story I haven't told you. And so we're all together, and somebody says to me, he hasn't changed a bit. He's the same guy. That was the legend of Rich Wyatt. He'd been to jail, but he came back, and I said, nope. I said, that's a different guy. And are you different?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know the sadness and the great sadness and the great pain, but this will go down in the annals as one of the great shoots. And whatever's next will, one thing is for sure, we all face that moment. We all look into the abyss. We really do. And when that moment comes is when you find out who you are. And you find out who your friends are.
Oh, that you find out.
And, and not that I'm not even on that same level, but when you get shot through the grease pretty bad, and when I got fired at Kayfabe,
I was there that day.
You called me. And so I always said, do you want to know, everybody loves when you're doing a big morning show and you got a rolling hard national television show and, you got a beautiful old lady and stuff's rolling hard and you're the man and you're driving this big tricked up truck and all stuff. You find out who your friends are in the dark of the night, not while the light's up. And you've always been a friend. I mean, you've always been there, and I hope, that this turned into exactly what I had hoped. And I know but I'm glad I said what I said because I saw you tighten up. And when that started, then the show started.
Well, Pete.
I'm serious. I know you well enough. I've seen your hackles up 300 times at least minimum.
At least.
I mean, I've seen.
That was just one day.
Oh yeah, but I've seen you drop stuff and come from behind the counter and going, this is going to get good.
Oh man.
So, time will come. It really will. Rich Wyatt, and final thing you'd like to say.
Cling tight to your family. Those other things aren't important.
Dr. Julie McCallan, who makes my life better every day, from Cinegenics, you underwrite this. This one will be one we'll get hits on, people are going to look at and talk about, and it ain't over. Thank you. Mark Crowley, thank you. It's The Shoot. I'll see you whatever day this is. I'll probably see you Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. on a radio show, 710 KNUS. Thank you.